You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Sam's a sex doc. He's a Sam's a sex doc. He's a Sam's a sex doctor. Sam on your turn with your Sam's a sex doctor.
Yeah, the sex doctor Sam Z is in right now. So listen up to KFI's Later with Mo Kelly.
La 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 la, later with Mo. Okay, later with Mo. La la la, later with Mo.
KFI AM 640, and if you're not on YouTube right now, shame on you. It is off the chains in the Motown chat with the Momigos, talking about all things sex and sharing food. It's a great introduction for Dr. Sam Zia. The sex doctor is in, and he will now see us. Sam, you participated in that unfiltered commercial break conversation, which we're going to make a regular part of this. What did you make of our conversation?
I love those kind of conversations. I'm glad we get to share the off-air conversations now with viewers on YouTube.
Right.
Because a lot of times the conversations we have off-air obviously are going to be a little more colorful, animated, but really you get more of a deeper perspective on where our heads are at when it comes to the subjects that we were talking about. So please go to the YouTube page and jump in and be a part of the chat. The conversation we just had was hilarious.
Adults only.
I wish I could
Adults
repeat it for
only.
y'all right now.
Yeah, listener discretion advised.
Yes. What do you want to talk about tonight in the world of sex, romance, and relationships?
Well, I was I like looking at different academic studies that come out. That's just me. I'm a nerd. I saw one a couple months ago. It was a study about if there were any behavioral changes based on sex in lab rats who were exposed to radiation in space. And what it found was that radiation exposure in space radiation exposure to lab rats led to female rats having more risk-taking behavior and similar risk-taking behavior in male rats, but they spent more time in deliberation before making choices.
If I understand you correctly, that rats make space radiation will make rats freakier.
Potentially, yeah.
And be willing to do more things.
Take more risks and have their inhibitions pulled down.
It's kind of like, I don't know, some sort of aphrodisiac.
Maybe. Now, they do have a thing in space. Astronaut reported it called the Viagra effect, where being in zero gravity or microgravity led to ease of arousal in men.
That would seem like it would be more difficult to force blood to move in a particular direction when it doesn't have gravity working as it normally would.
Well, our body, I don't know if you know this, but if we're upside down, we can still get aroused.
I only know that from like being under a pool table, but yeah, okay.
So
I don't know about zero G.
Gravity isn't going to have too much of an effect as far as our ability to get aroused. It may actually increase our ability, it may actually increase it.
It just seems like the zero G would get in the way of rhythm, motion. Sometimes how can I say this?
Yes.
So I need some sort of resistance to push against, put it that way.
Exactly. That's the big thing here. Now, let's talk about some ideas. First off, we're both really big movie nerds and stuff like that. Can you think of any movies that have had sex scenes in it that were in zero gravity?
Yes, Moonraker.
Thank you. That was one of them that I had on my list. Barbarella was another one. Aside from that, you've had a bunch of scenes that are sex in space that are usually like Captain Kirk on place where gravity is a thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, to create gravity, you need centrifugal force. If you
correct.
Currently, there's nothing, as far as I know, in the space program where they're actively promoting and trying to create centrifugal force to create artificial gravity in space at this moment. So what happens if there's like a giant space asteroid that's coming now and we don't have this gravity and we need to find a way to jump off of this rock and be able to procreate our way into deep space into the next habitable place? So that's where the idea of sex in space becomes actually pertinent. And there's a field of sex studies called space sexology, which I'm very interested in. I almost did my dissertation on this topic. I held off because porn studies was way better. But yeah, what happens if we have to jump off of this planet? And aside from protecting ourselves from the radiation of space, which can totally sterilize us, there's a lot of issues that can happen when you try to procreate in outer space. There was an Australian company that made a suit called the Two Suit. It was a Velcro strap that held a couple together for them to be around, like physically next to each other long enough to be able to have sex.
Kind of like Velcro is always somewhere connected to sex, always.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just me. Never mind.
Depending on various, positions that you're getting
Factors,
into.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there have been some attempts from like porn companies. Pornhub tried to crowdsource something where they could actually film a scene in space. It was unsuccessful. Virgin Galactic rejected a $1 million offer to shoot a scene in space. Now, the closest thing that we have come to it is that there was a scene shot in the Vomit Comet, one of those planes that does the up and down where you can simulate zero gravity. So they were only able to get like one single 20-second scene. Not enough to really, do anything fun to. Anyways, so if we don't have, there's also other issues, like as far as like, if you're going to try to have sex in zero gravity, what's going to happen physiologically to the human body?
Let me jump in there. Does it impact the ability of the swimmers to swim?
It does not. They haven't done any so far. No space program in the world is willing to acknowledge whatever experiments that they've done human wise. Mm-hmm. However, they have been able to have various animals procreate in space. So the ability of semen to find an egg is still present in zero gravity. They've tested it out on animals. And first animal to mate in space successfully was a fish. That was galactic sushi in 1994. Let's see here. Experiments in 1995, not done by NASA, by a foreign space program in 1995, done on lab rats. They found that rats born here on Earth, but they go to space and then have a baby in space. Those babies lose the ability to roll back onto their feet when they're placed on their back. It's like how with cats, they land on their feet. Rats have very delicate spinal columns, and they lose that ability to land on their feet when they're upside down. The part of it is because they lose the spatial awareness because they're so used to being in zero gravity. But when they come back to Earth, those specific rats, when they procreate and they have another lineage, their children end up having some what would be called developmental issues here on Earth. But actually, when you think about it in the context of zero gravity, they may be more optimized to function in space.
It almost sounds like there will be an evolutionary impact from the very first generation of procreation in space for the human species, most likely.
Yeah. Now, this is as far as like you want, not just like sex in space, but procreation in space. Yeah. We're thinking long-term, long-distance traveling. If we're in an emergency and we don't have the ability to get gravity artificially created, this is what our reality is going to be. Where if you extend that idea over one generation, it had these developmental issues here on Earth when they came back to Earth. If you have to go generation to generation in space with zero gravity, you're going to see what some of the issues that you see, the effects of weightlessness or microgravity on the human body, diminished bone density, heart muscle starts to lose mass, muscles in general lose mass. Basically, if you extend that over generations, 5-6 generations, you'll have decreased and diminished bone density and muscle mass. You'll have something that's much more optimized to function in zero gravity and have the bone density to push the buttons that need to be pushed on a spaceship to keep them alive and to procreate.
Well, our muscles only mean something with respect to gravity.
And resistance.
Resistance, yeah.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll have more with Dr. Sam Zia. Are you going to join us in the unfiltered chat in the hallway?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, we've implemented this new segment where when we're during the commercial break and Mark is doing the news, we're unfiltered in the hallway, continuing the conversation, but you got to be on YouTube or Instagram at Mr. Mo Kelly, and you can hear a different type of conversation. It's not for kids. Put them to bed. More in just a moment. KFI AM 640, live on YouTube, live on Instagram, live on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, YouTube, Instagram. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And yes, it's Mo Kelly After Dark. We're having some adult conversations in the hallway during the break. And the only way that you can participate, you can see them and hear them, is to log on to YouTube at Mr. Mo Kelly. Make sure that you like and subscribe so it's easier to find the show when you come back. And we expect you to come back. And we're right in the middle of a conversation with the sex doctor, Sam Zia, who is in the last segment, Sam, we were talking about some of the realities of sex in space, some of the scientific studies which have been conducted with regard to animals and procreation, sexual behavior in space. How do you think, to the best of your knowledge, how do you think this is going to be utilized in the future, in the near term? Because we have privatized space exploration. We go above the Kármán line not all that often, but you have Bezos, you have SpaceX, where now regular people like you and me, if we had, $500,000 or so, we could go to space as well. How long before space is commercialized, do you think, where we'll have the Mile High Club and we'll have the 62 Mile High Club?
I'm guessing it won't be too long. It's not lost on me that Elon named his company SpaceX.
And Jeff Bezos' ship looks like
it's like the scene from Austin Powers, really. With
it does.
Ship. It's fantastic.
It's a little on the nose if you want to use that term, but yes, it's obvious.
But I think we are on the doorstep of it, because as much as people like to shame sex and sexuality, it still sells. And there's going to be people who visually want to see what it will look like. So I'm getting the feeling, and I mentioned the porn company that created the zero gravity scene. It was a 20-second scene filmed in the Vomit Comet. And it was called the Uranus Experiment Part 2, in case you want to look it up.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So that's the thing, is that there's already a market for it. More and more people are going, as technology develops and more commercial exploration into space happens, you're going to see that get sexualized. It's just going to happen. And it really does kind of cater to the idea of, if we do have to, the fantasy of having to escape the planet and procreate and, keep the species going over an extended period of time. I mean, they make bad movies about this, but there's a couple of decent films in there as well.
We're having fun with this, but by and large, America is reticent to have any type of real conversations about sex. We are an uptight society. We are an uptight nation, and you don't know how uptight we are until you travel, until you see the world. Go to Europe for a while. They're not 1/10 as uptight as we are, from what you see on TV to what you see on a beach, a topless beach. Do you think that America will catch up to the rest of the world in the discussions at any point?
It's not going to do it necessarily publicly, considering how much sex and sexuality is shamed, but it's going to be done in private. Before the internet, you had a lot of people, just keeping to themselves and keeping their kinks to themselves. After the internet, those kinks had their own communities created where they get to reach out and touch each other. And they're very happy to do so.
I heard what you did there.
Yeah, thank you. So now you're going to have that same idea where people are there's going to be a community for it, no matter what, and they're going to be able to reach out and touch one another, whether it's going to be something that they publicly cheer about and say, this is something that I'm all about, and they make it a big spectacle, or if they just keep it in the privacy of their own home.
Do you think that we are uptight as a nation? Because I wouldn't say that America is more religious than other nations. You have nations which are actual theocracies, but I would say a place like Italy is more religious than the United States. In any number of European countries, even England is more religious than the United States. To what would you attribute our uptightness?
It does go down to like old-fashioned Puritanism and shame. A lot of times, and you'll see it, and not just out here in America. It's the same with a lot of religions and countries that are, base their foundation off of religions, or a lot of times will use the shame of sex and sexuality to control a population. And to make it like a great example of that is Iran, where use sex and sexuality as a deep sense of shame surrounding it, so that they can control the behaviors of people, say, for example, who are gay, where, the options for them are very limited. Either, get out of the country, escape the country, get sexual reassignment surgery, or stay in hiding, or pick, or basically pick how you're going to die.
You make a great point there, because sometimes we limit the conversation of sex to the physical manifestation and expression of sexual behavior, but it's much more than that. It's how you identify, it's how you present yourself, it's how you view yourself in the world. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, no, it's how you walk through the world. People tend to forget, and with the amount of shame religion throws on sex and sexuality, without it, we're not here.
If not for the kink of our parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and I have, we got Father's Day coming up, and I want to I'll talk more about like great ways. Like for me, the thing that led to my birth was one of the greatest pickup lines of all time from my dad to my mom. So that's going to be something in projecting forward for Father's Day.
Oh, yeah. Does everyone know the story behind their conception?
Oh, I do.
I know the story of mine. Stephen, do you know yours?
I don't know mine.
Mark, do you know yours?
I don't want to.
I mean, it's not, I don't think it's going to be like a Richard Pryor story, conceived in a brothel, were you?
Nobody was set on fire, no.
Okay. I can't reach Tuala. He's out there working on the podcast. I know my conception story, and I think everyone should know their conception story.
Why?
Yeah. Because it's a part of history of who you are. I think about the infinitesimal unlikelihood of you, the physical manifestation of you, that sperm, that egg coming together, the unlikelihood, the odds against the Mark that we're seeing here today. Yeah, I think everyone should know the story behind that.
No, I think not. It might not be great. It's not all.
But I think it's great that you're here. I'm being serious. And I think that's a part of the unlikelihood of any of us and the outward manifestation of our personalities. Look, I mean, I have an older sister. Same parents, did the same created a person, nothing like me in any way. It's like the Punnett Square. There are a billion different combinations we could have come into this world as, but we came with what we are right now.
No, when you think about the odds that you exist, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Oh, absolutely. I just think that Mark might be a little worried about having like that mental picture in his head, because that's like a cold shower.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about no, I don't. Look, my parents only had sex twice. It was when my sister was conceived and when I was conceived. That's it. That was the only function of sexual relationship, in sex in their relationship.
I love that. I love that reasoning so much.
Yeah, that's it. There's no other reason for them to have sex.
No, of course not.
On that note, Sam, why don't you just hang around for a second? Just hang out with us. You got some time?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we're going to talk about cannabis when we come back with the sex doctor, Sam Zia. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're still live on YouTube. We're still live on Instagram. We're still live on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI is Later with Mo Kelly. We're live on Instagram, YouTube, and the iHeartRadio app. I've always told you about my misgivings with cannabis, and I usually hear from people in response, well, alcohol's worse. Alcohol does that. And I said, my misgivings are not connected to one being healthier. It's just that it's not my thing. I don't like the smell of it. If someone's smoking it, I had tried an edible once upon a time. It didn't do anything for me. I don't get anything from it. But for those who want to keep telling me about the quote unquote safety and non-addictive properties of weed or cannabis, I just want to forward this on to you. There's a new study from the University of California, San Francisco, and it has determined, long story short, that whether you smoke cannabis or use edibles, chronic use is bad for your heart. I'm not a doctor, but if you told me that you're putting a foreign substance carcinogen in your lungs like smoke, if you were to smoke cannabis, yeah, that's probably going to impact your cardiovascular system. Not a doctor, but that makes sense to me. That is not hard to figure out. But when you say edibles, it does raise my eyebrows like, okay, I may not have considered that. The findings, published just yesterday in JAMA Cardiology. Tell us about JAMA real quick.
Oh yeah, Journal of American Medical Association. Yeah, that if it's published in there, it's been peer reviewed. It's legit.
It's legit.
It's
okay.
legit.
Okay. Well, this study published suggests that long-term marijuana use can seriously impact your blood vessels in a way that's similar to tobacco. Makes sense? Researchers found that people who regularly use cannabis, regardless of how they consumed it, had roughly half the blood vessel function compared to non-users. It constricts your blood vessels, long story short. And, of course, then that increases your risk of heart attacks and high blood pressure, or conversely, high blood pressure, which may lead to heart attacks. The study brought together 55 seemingly healthy individuals between 2021 and 2024. All participants were regular cannabis users, either smoking or consuming THC products at least 3 times a week for a year. None of them used nicotine. So that was a variable where they could isolate just cannabis use. Beyond the decreased blood vessel function, researchers found that marijuana smokers also showed changes in their blood that could damage the cells lining blood vessels. Those who primarily use edibles, however, didn't show those same changes. I'm not a doctor. I'm definitely not a sex doctor, but we have long had like a correlation in use between edibles, alcohol, and sex.
Oh, yeah. A good friend of mine, actually, is Ashley Manta. She's one of the foremost experts on sex and sexuality and cannabis use. And she found that for her, it was something that she was, prior to that, inorgasmic, and a lot of her feelings were rooted in anxiety and stuff like that. And she'll openly discuss this stuff. And anxiety based on several different factors. And what smoking did was make her not have that focus on the anxiety. Her anxiety symptoms diminished, and she started to actually get pleasure out of sex and really enjoy it more. The thing is, I'd like to see more about the study because, one of the things that you associate with cannabis use is stagnation. Just wanting to sit on the couch and not do anything except eat some chili Fritos. And which sounds great right now. I'm actually pretty hungry. But that's the thing is you're going to I want to see how much of that is related to stagnation. Because a lot of times people who, I know plenty of people who incorporate cannabis use into their physical, like into their exercise routine and stuff like that. But I want to see what the actual, other health issues that may have existed for these people.
Right. There's a difference between someone who leads a sedentary lifestyle, who's added cannabis into their diet, if you will, their daily ingestion habits, and someone who's maybe a high performing athlete and also introduces it.
Yeah. I'd like to see if there was any further, anything more in depth in that study to account for that. Because you can say do you have heart issues, but could that be because you're more sedentary, more stagnant because you're smoking more and more marijuana? I don't know. I need to go further into that study.
Charger 55 in Motown with the Momigos, he says, talking about marijuana, it's a plant, all natural. And I have to remind people, just because something is natural doesn't mean that it is safe and meant for consumption. Cocaine is unnatural. Alcohol, the fermentation of fruit is quote unquote natural.
So is tobacco.
So is tobacco, right? It does not mean that it is healthy for you. And Charger 55 said it also has helped many people. Well, so has chemo. Just because it's helped you doesn't mean that it's not also harmful to the body.
Yeah. A line I like to use when it comes to any substance use really is a line from the movie Drunken Master with Jackie Chan. A boat can float in water, but it can also sink in it.
That is almost profound.
Respect to the Drunken Master reference.
When we learn more about cannabis, do you think, and I know this may not be specifically your field, but I think there is a connection to your field. What do you think the future may be for cannabis as it relates to our sexual health?
It could be something for people say who have PTSD and may have some sexual trauma. It may be used for people. I've seen people who have gone through sexual trauma who have incorporated cannabis into their, activities, and it makes it so that they are much less in their head and more present in their body.
Mr. Reefer 999 goes back to a previous conversation we had talking about double dipping and sharing things. Mr. Reefer 999 says, if you can't share food, I doubt you'll share the joint. Correct. The whole idea of passing the joint is like, I don't know how many lips have been on that thing. That ain't cool. You're correct, Mr. Reefer.
No
999. That's accurate.
Is that his given name at birth? Probably.
That's the name that he chose for himself, at least for the chat.
Oh, okay. I get it.
I don't know if his mama named him. Let's name him Reefer.
Mr. Reefer.
Mr.
Reefer.
No, as a child, he was Reefer, but now he's adult.
Mr.
Reefer.
Little Reefer.
Yeah, that's how he identifies. That's his pronoun.
Oh, okay. Little Roach. Little Roach.
I don't know what to say. You guys are just weird, I tell you. You want to mix in sex and passing a joint. Show's just off the rails. Off the rails. But let me ask you this one more question before we go. In the way that we have, if you could look at marijuana, we have become more comfortable with the idea of use of marijuana, not only in a medicinal sense, but obviously in a recreational sense. We have more and more states which have legalized it. You think that's going to be the same as far as sex and in the way that Amsterdam has a red light district? Will America ever get there?
You got parts of this country where it's already there. Nevada has,
That's true.
You've got brothels over there. You've got, sex work is something that is going to be there. How much you want to criminalize, shame, and stigmatize the people who engage in it, that's something the government doesn't have to engage in. That's something that the government doesn't have to, sanction the discrimination against people who are just trying to make a buck.
That day ain't gonna be today, though.
No,
it's gonna be a while
not
before we
anytime
get there.
soon.
It's later with Mo Kelly. I don't even have a final thought tonight. You come in, you think you're gonna have a certain type of show, and it goes in a different direction. My final thought would have been way too serious and just way too much of a downer for this show. This show is just great. It's incredible. Mr. Reefer 999 says, "Ding dong with this crew, love it." Well, we appreciate you, Mr. Reefer, as well. B1 in the Motown chat says, "Smoke weed every day."
Just like the song.
Nate Dogg.
That's right. Eric Lasardo says, "Pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side." He's it.
I was singing that.
Yep. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're still live on YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app. We'll check in with George Norrie, who probably wants no part of this conversation.
Ooh.
None at all.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Later with Mo Kelly, YouTube, Instagram, iHeartRadio app. Please go to YouTube at Mr. Mo Kelly, subscribe, like. A show like tonight is going to be a regular occurrence. We're going to be talking in the hall. It's going to be unfiltered. It's going to be raw, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. But you have to just join the party. Make it that easy. Coming up in just a few moments will be Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, who joins me right now. Good evening, sir.
Mr. Kelly, you're not kidding. It is raw, isn't it?
Yo, did you get to check out some of it?
I heard a little bit of you.
All right. I hope I didn't run you off.
I'm gone. I'm out of the studio.
What's coming up tonight, George?
I'm not telling you.
Well, damn. I guess this is going to be a short conversation then.
I'll be on in seconds.
So we'll just have to listen and find out.
You got it.
All right. The show is coming up in just a few moments. George is boycotting having a conversation with us. Maybe we offended him, but Coast to Coast AM.
Norrie's got jokes, man.
I know. Oh, no. He's a funny guy. And this is something I always throw in Mark's face because George and I have hung out, gone to lunch together. George is conversationally funny in ways that I don't think people know from just listening to him on the air. They get glimpses of it when we have our crosstalk, but usually during the show, he's a little more buttoned up. But when he's not buttoned up, funny dude. Funny dude.
Well, you keep teasing me with three of us going out to lunch.
Well, okay, we have to set it up. Tomorrow's Friday, so I won't be able to ask him. But he's listening. So, George, we have to set up a lunch date. You, me, and Mark while you're in L.A.
Yeah, George, we're way overdue. Let's make this happen.
We have to figure out how long he's going to be in L.A. and then maybe go get some good food and have Mark pay.
Okay, just pump the brakes there. Pump the brakes there. Of the three of us, I think I'm least likely to be able to afford to pay.
That's okay. You can wash dishes.
Now, are these liquid lunches? Do you get to see George get a little tipsy?
No, we actually eat.
Well, you can do both.
I don't know if George drinks. I don't know that he does.
According to the Momigos, he does.
Well, I hope he does.
I'm just saying I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that.
Get him back on the phone.
I don't think we can. I think he's getting ready for his show.
That's pretty funny the way he stiff-armed you right there.
Oh, sure did. And it's like, he wasn't kidding. He's like, no, I'm not telling you.
I'm not telling you.
I'm not telling you. Shh.
And he doesn't have to either.
No, he does not. It's like, what am I going to say? It's like, hey, tell me what's on your show.
Yeah, what's iHeart going to do? Put him on probation?
Right. Yeah. It's George freaking Nori.
Yeah.
He wins. Tomorrow night, we will be playing Name That Movie Cult Classic. We will not have a theme to the best of my knowledge. There will be a Rana report. I don't know what it's going to be on. I don't know that Mark knows what it's going to be on.
Well, here's the deal. The new Karate Kid movie comes out, and I have absolutely no interest in that. None. My nostalgia requirements for that were met long ago. I'm Karate Kidded out. You've already seen that movie, too, right?
Yes, and let me just say this. Let me give my down and dirty review. Hopefully it will not impact Mark Runners. I love all things Karate Kid. The Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3, written by the same guy. Karate Kid 2010, written by the same guy. Robert Mark Kamen, I believe his name is. Cobra Kai, all 65 episodes, written by this guy. This movie, Karate Kid Legends, written by Robert Mark Kamen. You would think that they would have that going for them on the back end of the success of Karate Kid Legends. Continuity, saying someone who gets the series, understands the series, understands what the fans want. I can say unequivocally, this movie is hot garbage.
Well, I'm not wasting my time then. There's a pretty promising looking horror film called Bring Her Back that I may review tomorrow.
Garbage.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Which one?
Bring Her Back?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it does look promising. And if people can also make suggestions. There's tons of streaming content that we just don't have time to get into. It doesn't have to be a theatrical film.
Hot garbage.
Oh, I believe you. I'm not going.
Do not. It's. I can't in good conscience say, Mark, go see the movie. I would not be your friend if I did that.
I wouldn't go for free.
I saw it for free. Hot garbage.
I mean, we've had so much of the TV show. What's this going to offer?
The problem is, and this is not a giveaway, it took all the goodwill from the TV show, the things that it did right in the TV show, and used absolutely none of it in the movie. If you haven't seen the TV show, it does not matter.
Because you thought it was going to connect, right?
I thought that they would use something from the TV show as a reward and payoff for this, I think, 6 seasons that we watched it.
Do you feel like this might have been targeted to more of the American audience or the international audience because of Jackie Chan?
It's hard to say. They were trying to appeal to a number of audiences, definitely to the younger audience. In other words, if you haven't seen the previous movies, with the exception of the 2010 Jackie Chan Karate Kid, you're okay. There's no continuity issue. If you're aware of Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio, who played the Karate Kid in 1984, you know who that is. You don't need to know really any of the backstory to watch this movie. So all to have that writer continuity, it doesn't mean a damn thing.
And the question's coming from somebody who made a Drunken Master reference. So everybody loves Jackie Chan, but I don't need to see him in this. I'd rather watch actually Drunken Master 2 if you want the inside scoop on the best Jackie Chan martial arts movie of all time, Drunken Master 2, and make it all the way to the end of that and look at the outtakes that show him getting injured. It's a phenomenally entertaining old movie.
I've seen it. This is what I will say about Karate Kid Legends before we go, and it's not a spoiler, really. Ralph Macchio is only in the third act of the movie.
How is that even possible?
Thank you. Because it's advertised like he's a real big part of the movie. He's not.
Yeah, the way you described it, it sounds like he's more in the trailer than the actual movie.
The trailer is the sum total of his contributions to the movie. I'm not exaggerating.
He's the Karate Kid.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
So what you're saying is we have a potential class action lawsuit here. Maybe I should go just for that.
The trailer lied. The trailer lied. If you're watching the trailer right now on YouTube, that's the sum total of Ralph Macchio's contributions to the movie.
Oh, thumbs down. Boo.
We have to watch what we say,
Oh, you rushed me out? Oh, I guess the show's over. Okay, KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere at iHeartRadio app. Good night.
What the hell is going on? Well, we're about to tell you.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.